Hey everybody, this is Geno Reynolds. I have to apologize. I'm a little behind on my reviews. This time of year and me don't really get along. Let's just put it that way. If it weren't for my boys, this time of year would probably be the most lonely, depressing part of the year for me. And being that 2016 hasn't really been a banner year for me, um, it's just been it's been the end of the year has been rough. Today I'm going to be talking about two movies, Collateral Beauty and Manchester by the Sea. And for those of you that don't want the movie spoiled, I'll just tell you guys this and then turn off the video. Don't go see Collateral Beauty. It's awful despite its cast. And go see Manchester by the Sea, which I'll warn you is not a happy movie, but it's a really good one. The reason I decided to talk about these two movies together is they kind of have a shared theme, and that shared theme, they both have fathers that have lost children. Will Smith's character loses his kid to a form of cancer, which is kind of the basis to his depression, and Casey Affleck's character loses his three kids to a fire, and he wasn't there to save them. Now, as a dad, watching one of those was bad enough, and then I saw the second one 2 days later, and it was hard to come home and look at your kids, and just the thought of losing my kids would break me. As a single dad, I only get to see my kids every other week. I have week on, week off thing going on with their mom. So when they're gone, it's bad enough, but then the thought of them being gone forever is just, it's hard to think about, and it's hard to see in movies. And what I noticed between these two movies is how they handled the whole thing. Collateral Beauty, it almost turns it into a gimmick. If you don't know the premise of this movie, it's about a guy that loses his kid, and he's in deep depression. I think it was for around like 2 years in the movie. He's been deeply depressed. His company's going under, and he's just letting it go under. He's not talking to anyone. He does the same thing every day. He builds these weird domino setups in his office over 5 days and knocks them down, and all sorts of stuff like that. And the three main characters in the movie that work with him, they're trying to sell shares of the company, and so they hire actors to portray to help with his depression, or he says to fix himself, he writes letters to death, time, and love. And the other main characters of the movie, they get a hold of these letters. They use a private investigator, get a hold of these letters, and they hire actors to play death, time, and love to talk to Will Smith's character, and it turns into this whole thing where he says, they say he can't see it, or he can see him and no one else can, and it's this weird sixth sense kind of thing. And there's a few twists in the movie where it turns out they really are death, time, and love because they're helping the other three characters fix their lives. It's painfully obvious. You'll figure it out in 2 minutes if you see it. That their lives need fixed too, so the three help them as well. And it also, Will Smith's character goes to this grief counseling thing, and it turns out the grief counselor is his wife, and you don't know it to the movie, even though I had a hunch it was, and I just thought that was dumb. And the premise of Manchester by the Sea, a guy's brother dies, and he has to move back to his hometown to take guardianship of his brother's son. And you find out over time what happened. It talks about his brother's heart failures. He has like some congestive heart disease or something, and also you find out what happens to Casey Affleck's kids. You find out about he's a big drinker and everything, and you find out why he doesn't want to be there and why his marriage broke up and everything like that. And he loses his 3 kids to a fire, as I mentioned earlier, and he was off getting booze. He had started a fire in a fireplace and couldn't remember. Let's just say he was plastered and high, because they talked about he had a bunch of friends over and there was drugs and alcohol involved, and then the wife kicks him out, and then he starts a fire and thinks he forgot to put the screen up on the fireplace because he couldn't turn on the heat in the house for some reason. Something that gave his wife headaches or something. And I noticed between these two movies that the way they handled grief, I think, is what made them good and bad movies. Collateral Beauty handled grief like it was, I don't know, almost like it was a punchline. I don't know if that's really the right word. Because they used all that elaborate setup where we're going to hire actors, and the actors were really Death, Time, and Love, and it tried so hard to take a silly premise and tried to make it serious. I think that's why it didn't work. And I'm not saying, this movie had great actors in it. Will Smith, I won't call him a great actor, but I thought he did okay in this. If it would have been a serious movie, it probably would have worked. I don't know if it'd snag him that Oscar he's been trying to get for years, but he did an alright job. I mean, you could really kind of like I Am Legend, the part where the dog died. Another spoiler. I mean, you could see he can turn on the waterworks and make you feel emotional. And I won't say that this movie's overly sad because all the other silliness. I think it might have worked if, say, you could buy into the premise, but the premise is so silly. Helen Mirren's in this. I like her. She didn't get a whole lot to work with here. Edward Norton's in this. He's hitting on Keira Knightley's character, who's Love, and he's, that nothing goes. It doesn't go anywhere, and it's really dumb. He's basically trying to get to have sex with her, and it turns out, she's helping him fix his relationship with his daughter. He's divorced. He cheated on his wife. Michael Pena's character is dealing with death because his cancer has come back again. He's had cancer since he was like a teenager or something, off and on. Kate Winslet's character is dealing with time because she gave up everything for this business that they're all working on, and she didn't get to have a kid, and she's thinking about getting, like sperm donor. And there's all this stuff that could have been really good, but it was almost sappy to be sappy. And there was just so much, I don't know if you want to call it depression porn or sadness porn or something. I don't know. And it was just too much. And it just took the whole thing out of a kid is dead, which could have had some great impact. And if it would have been, that would have been the focus, just that, this movie might have worked. But then they had to throw all these other side stories, and everything just felt, I don't know. It was just too much. And I think that's why it didn't work. When it comes to Manchester by the Sea, I think the reason this did work is because, first of all, you don't know. They don't tell you this at the beginning of the movie. And you just know that he's this janitor in another city, and he finds out his brother dies. And as it slowly reveals in flashbacks what happened, the movie just keeps kicking you in the chest over and over and over again. And you want to root for this guy because, I mean, he's not the nicest guy either. I mean, he gets in the fights at bars. He gets drunk. He doesn't want to take care of this kid. because the kid wants him to move to where he's at because he's got two girlfriends, he's in a band, he's on the hockey team, all this, high school stuff. The kid's 15, 16 in the movie. I think he's 16 because they mentioned something about him having a license or not going to get a license till he's 18 or something. And then you find out that the night where he's out, the fire starts and he walked to the store because he was too drunk and high to drive, and he walks back and he was gone for like 45 minutes or something. He comes back and the house is ablaze, and the wife got out. Their bedroom was downstairs, so she was able to get out, and you could see her trying to get in the house, and the kids are in there, and they don't show the kids. There's two younger kids and then like a baby, and though they don't show them, they show them bringing them out in the body bags, and it hurt. And this movie took the subject of grief and trying to deal with that. I mean, he comes back to town to take care of his nephew, and there's people that would say the so and so, and like there was this legend, and that ended up being his infamy was, his kids died. And there's a scene that it really got me. After everything happens and they pull the kids out, and like I said, that you see him bring at least two of them out in the body bags, and you know what it is, and you know what's in them or who's in them. And they take him to the police station and they're questioning him, and you're thinking, he's telling a story and he's admitting everything. He's saying we had cocaine at the party and lots of booze and everything. And he was basically saying everything that happened about them getting kicked out and everything. And he talks about the fireplace and not putting the screen up, and he says, I can't remember. And they said they let him go. And he goes, you're letting me go? And they said, yeah, you made a mistake, a horrible mistake, but you just made a mistake. It wasn't on purpose, And as he walks out of the interrogation room, he grabs a cop's gun and tries to blow his own head off. And that scene, I told myself, it's like and I don't know if I should admit this, but I might have reacted the same way had I done something like that. I mean, my kids are everything to me. And, I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you have a subject in a movie such as this, that, I mean, we deal in death and everything in movies all the time. And, and I'll use another example. Look at the Max Payne movie. That involved the death of a wife and child, and they handled it horribly too, yet you play the video games and it handles it perfectly. When you take a subject like the death of kids, you can't throw some stupid, hokey, like plot around it unless you take it seriously. But like I said, Collateral Beauty did not. It was awful, and it made you forget everything that was going on with Will Smith's character because of all the other crap they surrounded it with. But Manchester by the Sea, it made you feel it. And if you're going to use the subject of something like that, something big like that, like kids dying, you better handle what goes around it right. Manchester by the Sea did it perfectly. I highly recommend that movie. If you see it, be prepared to be just kicked in the chest over and over, kicked in the gut over and over. That movie will kick your butt, and it's not a happy movie. And I'd love to tell you it has a happy, hunky-dory ending, but it doesn't. It has a satisfying ending. Don't get me wrong. The ending didn't suck or anything. The ending is fitting to the story. I'm okay with a movie not wrapping up with a, happy golden bow ending if the ending is fitting to the story, in which Manchester by the Sea it is. Uh, Collateral Beauty it is not. It is a sappy, stupid Hollywood ending with twists that almost feel Shyamalanian in a way, and it sucked. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know why I'm a little behind on everything. Like I said, this holiday season just doesn't get along with me, and but now I'm getting back on track, and now that I'm caught up on the two movies, now I can get caught up on everything else. It's going to be a busy week for movies. Assassin's Creed comes out this week. Passengers comes out. Why Him, I think, comes out. And I know Fences comes out around Christmas. So I'll be seeing all those, and I'll have reviews for you guys. I do want to know what you guys think about this subject, about grief in movies. Can it be handled right whenever it comes to trying to do something supernatural or something like that? Or should they handle things like the death of children in a serious way only? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Give this video a like. Till next time, I'm Geno Reynolds from The Real Geno.